The father of fallen U.S. Navy SEAL Ryan Owens is calling for an investigation of a U.S. raid in Yemen. The raid was the first under President Trump, who gave his approval just 6 days into his term. The operation was targeting al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, but quickly ran into trouble and came under fire from all sides. 36-year-old Owens was killed, along with more than 20 civilians. Now his father is sending a message to the president. CNN Washington correspondent Ryan Nobles is joining us now with more on this. So, Ryan, what is Bill Owens, the father, saying?
Well, he's not holding back in his criticism of President Donald Trump, Frederica. It's a man he concedes in an interview with the Miami Herald that he did not vote for. Bill Owens is a military veteran himself, and he questioned the motivation for this mission and its planning, telling the Herald, quote, "Why at this time did there have to be this stupid mission when it wasn't even barely a week into his administration? Why? For 2 years prior, there were no boots on the ground in Yemen. Everything was missiles and drones because there was not a target worth one American life. Now, all of a sudden, we had to make this grand display." Now, Owens is not the only one with concerns about this particular mission. Republican Senator John McCain was also critical of its execution and necessity in the days after the problems with the mission were revealed. Now, at that time, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer evoked the death of Owens as a way to rebut McCain's criticism. And in his interview with the Miami Herald, Bill Owens warned the White House to, quote, "not hide behind my son's death to prevent an investigation." At this point, the White House is being careful to not be too critical of the Navy SEAL's father. Here's what White House spokesperson Sarah Huckabee Sanders said this morning on ABC.
I know that he paid the ultimate sacrifice when he went on that mission, and I know that the mission has a lot of different critics, but it did yield a substantial amount of very important intel and resources that helped save American lives and other lives. And as much as, again, I can't imagine what this father is going through. I think his son is a true American hero, and we should forever be in his son's debt.
Does the president want an investigation?
I haven't had the chance to speak with him directly about that, but I would imagine that he would be supportive of that.
Well, in fact, those investigations are already underway. According to the Pentagon, a standard set of investigations takes place after the death of any SEAL, including one that specifically will look into his death in particular. And Fred, you may remember that President Trump made a special trip to Dover Air Force Base to be there when Owens' body returned to the United States. His father telling the Miami Herald that he refused to meet the president.